Shabbat Shalom. So I'm going to start by holding up some pictures. And the only thing I want you to do is when you see the picture, if you're sitting close enough, you may be able to see it. If not, you can move further. They're pretty big. If not, you can move forward. I'm also going to ask Ivan to maybe zoom in on it if he can. If not, that's okay. But so I'm going to start by holding up some pictures. And when you see the picture, just say the name of the person in the picture. You got it? Everybody knows the instructions. Okay. The first picture. Just say the name of the person in the picture if you can see it. Rosa Parks. Shkoch. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Very good. Wow, you're batting 1,000. 3 for 3. Okay. You're definitely going to know this one. Amelia Earhart. Yes. Golda Meir. Okay. Perfect. Pocahontas. You're silent on the last one. No? Kind of knew that was going to happen. Right? So the 5 women in this picture are the daughters of Tzlofechad. Do you know their names? One is Titra, yeah. Most people don't or forgot or can't name them in order. Their names are Machlah, Noah, Hogla, Milka, and Tirza. And so today, I want us to explore the idea of knowing her name, the importance of recognizing these 5 women as trailblazers in our Torah. Of course, you knew the names of all the women in all the pictures when we held up the pictures of Machlah, Noah, Hogla, Milka, and Tirza. We had to stretch a little bit. So this week's Torah portion, Parshat Pinchas, we witness a dramatic shift regarding women in language, a shift in rights, and a shift in law. Up until this point, while women have served important roles, they have not had rights to inheritance, which one could argue is crucial for perpetuating family legacy. If you don't have inheritance, you can't carry on the lineage, the line. Of course, this doesn't detract from the critical role Miriam played in saving Moses' life, and later, as the Torah says, setting the tempo for the Israelites as they rejoiced in song after they crossed the Red Sea. Nor does it diminish the work of our matriarchs. Rather, it highlights an area of study I think is worth exploring. We know the names of the matriarchs and influential women throughout history, but how many of us truly know the names of Machlah, Noah, Hogla, Milka, and Tirza? By the way, I have it written down, so I'm cheating. You don't have to memorize. See, in Parshat Pinchas, we read the story of their father, Tzlofechad, who dies. Tzlofechad only has daughters. And until now, the laws regarding the transfer of land through inheritance only apply to sons, not daughters. So the 5 daughters of Tzlofechad exercise their, it's not a right yet, but they exercise their courage to petition their local government. They lobby, they advocate for their rights. They approach Moses and they lay out their case. They say, they stand before Moses and Eleazar the priest, and they say, our father died in the wilderness. He was not of one of the faction, meaning Korach's faction. You remember a few weeks ago, Korach was punished because he led a rebellion. It failed, didn't work out for him. They want to make sure that they know that their father is not part of that group. He's one of the good guys. So they already start by lifting him up, by elevating his name in front of Moses so that Moses will look favorably upon them and give them a judgment they want. Let not our father's name be lost to his clan just because he had no son. They say it's not fair. We didn't choose to be 5 daughters. We wanted a brother. He just didn't get here. They probably didn't want a brother, by the way. So I have 3 brothers and a sister. And my sister did not want brothers. There were a lot of experiments in my house, including using her as a pillow to jump on. Anyway. So they say, it's not fair. We have no brothers. It's not our fault. And so Moses thinks it over, he mulls it over, he brings the case before God, as Moses usually does. The plea of Zelophehad's daughters is just. You should give them a hereditary holding among their father's kinsmen. Transfer their father's share to them. Wow, wow, wow. What a powerful moment of advocacy. It's really the first time in the Torah, it is the first time in the Torah, that women are given rights that are seemingly equal to men. We probably still have a very long way to go. So as we reflect on this Torah portion, I invite you to think of the women who shaped your life. The women who made a difference in the way you think, in the way you act, in the way you exist, in your entire being. Perhaps it was your mother, a grandmother, a teacher, a doctor. You know, I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Pack, at the Yeshiva of Flatbush in Brooklyn, New York. Mrs. Pack perfectly balanced steadiness with a soft touch. She fostered a sense of empowerment while maintaining firmness. When you were discouraged about your academic progress, I don't know what kind of academic progress in first grade, maybe drawing an A or a B, I don't know. Mrs. Pack would sit with you, and I remember that she would guide you and give, but also she would give you that look that said, oh, come on, you can do better than that. But it was always with love. As a matter of fact, this is not in my papers, but I'm thinking of this now. As a matter of fact, when I returned to the Yeshiva of Flatbush in my early 20s to teach music and to direct the choir, Mrs. Pack was still there. And I didn't ask her how old she was, but I'm going to assume that she was in her 80s. Because when I was a kid, I remember her being a woman that was older than my parents. So she was still teaching, although she had gone away from the classroom, but she was still teaching, and she still had that gentle touch, but that look. And when I reminded her that I was in her class and that I wasn't the best student, she looked at me and she said, I know who you are. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but she remembered me. Then I think about both of my grandmothers, my abuela Ruth and my grandmother Lily, who were indeed trailblazers. After the death of my grandfather, when my dad was just 11 years old, my grandmother found a way to sustain a life for her 5 boys, building a business, opening her own store, which at the time in Mexico, women-owned businesses, it wasn't unheard of, but it wasn't common. And in this country, my grandmother Lily, after bearing 3 children, went to Columbia University Teachers College, became a New York City public school teacher, and then the head of the district office. I think of all the women rabbis that all of the women who are rabbis who I've worked with, and about the profound wisdom they offered me. Women like Rabbi Jan Urbach, who is now director of the Center for Spiritual Arts at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York. Rabbi Urbach shepherded me through my first years serving as a cantor at the East 55th Street Conservative Synagogue in Manhattan when I was 19 years old. I'm sure we all have similar stories. We can point to women in our lives who made a difference. And by the way, the word for God's presence is Shekhinah. Shekhinah is distinctly feminine. So reflecting on our lives, I encourage us to draw to our memory, whether they are living or past, the women in our lives who scaffolded us, nurtured us, loved us. May we know their names, speak their names, and praise their names. Good Shabbos.